beautiful souls, and welcome to another webisode of my story, where I explain how I got to where I am and how my life was according to my viewpoint, my perspective, and my incomplete memories, and a little bit of falsities here and there, I guess, to just make it a fictional story for fun. So, as if that makes any sense, we'll pretend that it does, guys. Okay, so where was I with my story? I think that I was tying up the last time that I was talking to you guys. I was tying up about Zach and how we were told by the cops if the therapist really said to keep him away from the girls and everything, then you need to go to court to get a protection order. So we did, and we let the therapist know, and she was like, great. And so she talked to the lawyers, and the lawyers, they came and they talked to each of my daughters individually, and they talked to me and Dave. And also around this time, my oldest daughter, she was just getting fed up with Zach because he was constantly messaging her all kinds of stuff, and she was just trying to get him to admit it on the messages, and he kind of did, but not, he didn't outright say it, he pretty much did admit it, but not outright. So she took all of those and posted it on social media, the private messages, and posted it on social media, and just wrote out her whole entire story of what he had been doing to her and how her mother thought with parental alienation and how he even affected, and it was crazy. And it got a big response, and people, well, basically, we ended up talking to state police. We ended up talking to county police. We ended up talking to his city police, the city where Zach lived and where it first happened in. We had to take the girls back to the advocacy center. It opened up a big can of worms, but I didn't mind the worms being opened. I was actually preparing for this the whole entire time, hoping, because I knew that if it was true, if the truth is that I'm a parental alienator, then the girls would be able to go with their dad and they would have a good relationship with their dad's family and everything would be great. And if it's true that he's hurting them, eventually it will come out, and it did. And like I said, I tried to spell out to you guys the way that I recorded my story. I tried to make it known, because these things, whenever we talk about them, it feels like boom, bow, boom. We posted online, the cops came and talked to us, we went to court, da 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 da. No, it was like, we posted this online, we thought everything was normal, nothing was different, and then the cop shows up at your door, and then you find out why, and you're happy to talk to him, you're like, yes, hear my side of the story. I wanted my side of the story to be put out before, I wanted my side of the story to be known by the criminal justice system before it's known by everyone else, right? It needs to go through the criminal justice system for sure. I think anyone that's heard my story up to now knows that it needs to go in the criminal justice system, and it took me a long time to realize that I can still forgive Zach and still pursue him criminally out of love. Like, I know that him and his mom, they were just like, they were probably thinking I'm a hateful biatch and everything, because they weren't expecting. First of all, Zach was taking me back to child support court, and in child support court, I'm sure he was going to try to, well, no, I was glad that he took me back, because I was wanting to take him back at this time, because I was wanting to get arrears put back on. And since he went ahead and took me to court, I was like, okay, who knows what, because at this point, what I've learned about Zach is there's no telling what's going to come up in court with Zach. So who knows what he's taking me to child support court with. I don't care. I'm talking to my lawyer, and I'm talking about, I want her to look at arrears, whatever it is. I want arrears to be looked at too. And so, and at this point, because I was like, look, she took out all the arrears, and he's doing the exact same pattern that he always has. If there's a time off, then he owes back that time off, right? Isn't that fair? Isn't that right? Isn't that how it goes? Anyway, and we were preparing for this court, and this court was first. And I know that his mom she was doing a hate campaign about me and how I'm trying to make him out to be the bad guy. And it's just like, I never wanted him to be the bad guy. He's who he is. And that's part of what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is acceptance too. And I need to forgive her too. I need to accept that she's a loving mother, She loves her children. And she loves her son. So, so it's acceptance. You accept who they are, but you figure out if they're worthy to be in your life or not, And sometimes criminal justice system does need to be involved to right things, and it's not nice to a bully's soul, which I want to get into the spirituality of reality, because it's reality. Physicality and spirituality are reality. So I want to teach that. That's what I want to get to. But yeah, this is how I learned it, is I learned that it's not right to the bully's soul to not seek the right karmic revenge. Like, it's complicated, but we'll have to get into that another day. But I learned that it's not nice of me to not make him pay for his crimes, kind of thing. And yeah, so we end up, the day of the court for the restraining order came, and I was so nervous because I didn't know what Zach was going to do, what his defense would be. I also knew that my daughters had to go on the stand. Not my lawyers, they let me know, they're not my lawyers. But the lawyers representing us and our side, they talked to all of us about what it would be for them to get up on the stand and what they would need to, what we would need to do and everything. So on the way to court, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, I know the spiritual reality, but if you don't know the spiritual reality, if you're just going to look at reality like it's physicality, then maybe it didn't make a difference. And I don't know, this is a fake story. It's not a real story. You can't hold anything that I say against me in a court of law with this fake story, because it's not even real, okay? So what I did on the way to court was I played girl power songs, And I love girl power songs. I was thinking, this is exactly what I was made for. This is exactly what I was meant to do, is help empower these girls to tell the truth. So, yeah, and we got to court, and he was there with his mom, who was there with his boyfriend, and she was mean mugging me, of course, and we all had to go upstairs, but not everybody was allowed to go upstairs. Only I and the girls were allowed to go upstairs, and only Zach was allowed to go upstairs. So my husband Dave had to stay downstairs with Zach's mom and boyfriend. And we went upstairs, and we were put into a holding room separate from everyone, and we were told, do not discuss the case at all. Y'all can talk about anything in the world, but do not discuss the case. So we talked about school. We talked about schoolwork. I got into teaching them math problems because I love math so much. I love mathematics. it talks to me. It's always talked to me. So, we chilled in there, but we were there all day. And then we ended up being the last case seen, which was so annoying. But I guess I'm kind of thankful that it was the last. I don't know. Oh, goodness. So the lawyers told me before we ever went in, whenever we had the mock meeting with the girls, I had to bring the girls in early so that they can prepare to be on the stand. And they pulled me to the side and they talked to me and they let me know that when the girls are on the stand, they're going to say stuff that they've never told me. And that I might get shocked, but don't show that in the courtroom. And they told me to just have an emotionless face and to just look off to the side. Don't show any emotion in the courtroom. So that's what I did the whole entire time. I followed the lawyer's instructions, I enjoyed my time with my girls in the area, and then, yeah, sure enough, whenever it was time, I had to go out there, and then Zach was out there, and he had files, like huge files, and which is one thing that I find ironic, because on all the help groups of how to deal with like a narcissist or something like that, narcissist in court and stuff like that, they say, save everything. I knew for a fact that him and his mom were saving everything that had anything to do with me for court purposes. They just always have, and I've just always found it funny because I don't really take that advice. I don't know. There's something in me that's just like, I'm not going to save their stuff. And it's so crazy to me because it didn't matter in court. Like, all the stuff they saved up, it didn't matter in court. But yeah, I was sitting there and my daughters got on the stand and they confronted him. Like, my oldest daughter, she's a wild firecracker. I love that girl so much. She stands for truth. And she's the one that's really empowered me a lot. But she confronted him. And then my middle daughter, I had thought up until this point that it was only her, because, and one thing that she would say is, I would do it, I would take it because I didn't want him to hurt my little sister. And so I always thought that the older one was always able to protect the younger one, but it wasn't the case at all. And yeah, she confronted him too. And then I had to get on the stand, and an inside joke that Dave and I still have, because I found this moment so funny, like the lawyer instructed me how to answer questions, and then I don't have to answer anything that I don't want to, and I can say I do not recall, all that kind of stuff. But one of the questions that Zach asked, Zach he was just a fool up there in my eyes. I think in everyone's, it was pretty much obvious. I think at one point, whenever my oldest daughter confronted him and was like, "You remember, don't you?" And he was like, "I remember us wrecking on the four-wheelers. Do you remember why you never got to take home a four-wheeler? Do you remember why you never got to take home an iPad?" And she was like, "Yeah, because you were a manipulator." It was like, so he was like throwing himself under the bus, like left and right. It was so crazy. His reactions were, and he asked me on the stand, because he had a chance to ask me stuff, and he asked me, the last time I came to your house, do you know what song was playing? And I was like, I don't recall. Because I was looking straight ahead. They told me I didn't have to look at him, so I didn't look at him. I was looking straight ahead. And every question he asked me, I would just, yes, no, don't recall. Yes, no, don't recall. you know? And he proceeded to say the song that was playing on the radio, and I know exactly what it was because it's my girl, Christina Aguilera, right? You know, girl power. I'm all about girl power, but that one wasn't a girl power. I guess it was a girl power song. Honestly, it is. And I was cleaning house. I had the radio going, you know, but it was Christina Aguilera. My husband had bought me this album for one of my birthdays. I can't remember which one, but Christina Aguilera from the Bionic album, V is for Vanity. And he started reading the lyrics and he said, Mirror, mirror on the wall. And once he said that, I was like, I remember what song it was, which it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And in court, you know, the lawyers on our side, when she was like, objection, and he was like, yeah, he was like, I'm sorry, that's not relevant. And then oh, you could see Zach was just so defeated because it's like everything that he tried to present to the court was like, it's not relative, right? And he tried to show some papers, and the court was like, what's the source of these? You didn't submit these properly anyway. We don't even know who wrote these. And he was like, I did. And they were like, so you're admitting that you wrote these? And the judge, he got down off the stand and he came and he sat down in front of Zach and was like, I want to make sure that you know that I am taking into consideration your side here. I want you to feel heard. And we ended up being in there forever because the judge did not look through all of the paperwork at all, but you could tell that the judge was pretty much dismissing the paperwork, that, you know, he was just entertaining that he was looking through the paperwork. But basically, after the girls left, they did their testimony, and I did mine, and, you know, testimony, I don't know, our time on the stand. And they were back in the back room, so they didn't know what was going on the whole entire time. But once they had left, and the judge was like, I want to make sure that you are heard, it's like Zach took it as let him know how bad of a mom she is. And he was just unloading everything that he hates about me and everything that's wrong about me. And then the judge said, is that your defense for yourself? Is that all that you have to say for yourself? And Zach was just like, yeah. It was so surreal, you guys. It felt like Zach was possessed by a fool in the courtroom who made him act out. I don't know. It was so crazy because his defense for two girls getting up there and saying, you touched me, was he bought them nice things and I'm a bad mom. And it did not work. It did not work. He ordered the 10-year protection order. I cried. And then he said that Zach had to stay in there for us to leave. We had to leave before Zach would be allowed to, the girls, because he wanted us to go ahead and get home. And the bailiff walked us out of there. And the bailiff told us, because we were walking down the stairs, right? And the bailiff was like, that was the craziest case I have seen in a long time. But that dude was guilty for sure. And the judge just entertained him for way too long, I think. I was like, yeah, it was crazy. But we got our protection order, and it was like things were turning around. Things were starting to get better. And, you know, for the first time in my life, I was following the biblical holidays and not the pagan ones. Whether I was doing it the pagan way or the Christian way, they're pagan holidays. They're the same ones. And now I'm following biblical holidays, and it is way different. You know, the verse that I used for this series is, they overcome by their testimony. Some of y'all know that that's only half of the verse. It's the last half of the verse. They overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. So I had begun, because we do Passover lamb. We don't do Easter ham. Last year we did both, because we were like, why not do both? I don't know. I think everything should be done with love. I think love really is the number one thing. But yeah, it was really nice to walk out of that courtroom that day and, see his mom, and I'm like, we did it. And then we had another court, the child support court, and that one, bless Zach's heart, he had accumulated a lot of negative karma. He just has. He's accumulated a lot of negative karma. And I didn't know what that court was about or anything. And he had a lawyer, and we're at court. I have a lawyer, and the judge is like, what are we here for? And his lawyer says, my client wants a reduction in payments. And she said, well, let's look at them. And she looks at them and sees that he's paying the minimum on both. He's paying $73 a week on the oldest and $9 a week on the youngest. And he has 0 arrears, other than for the last 2 years, he hasn't paid. And that's below the minimum. And so this frustrated the judge. I was like, I want to get out of here, like the way that judge was acting. But she was like, do you not notice that he was paying below the state minimum? And he was like, yeah. And she's like, well, I'm going to raise the amount to the state minimum because he's paying below the state minimum. And he can pay at least the minimum. So she raised it to $99 a week, and I think it was $7 a week and to $9 a week for the other one. So 99 and 9 from, I think it was 83 or 73 and 7. But anyway, it ended up being a raise. I didn't know why he brought me. All I knew was that if I'm in front of the judge, I'm going to ask for the arrears to get added on. And then she turned to my lawyer and said, what does your client want? And he said, my client is pointing out a pattern that he refuses to pay, and he's stubborn, and she wants the arrears back added on because it would only be fair. And then she looked at him and she was like, okay, boom. And bless his heart, he's the one that set that up. I didn't even set that up. And it's so crazy. It's so crazy. It's like things are starting to turn around, I didn't do nothing. I didn't do except for ask for my fares. And yeah. So I'm pretty excited. Things are looking up. Things can get better. And that's kind of one of the points of my story, but it's not always that great. And it's an ebb and a flow. Learn to like the ebb and the flow. And know when you're in the ebb and when to flow. So there you guys go. I think that's all that I got for you today. I could ramble on to fill in the video, but I don't think you guys would want that. So I think because we can pick up from there next time. We're almost to the end, and I'm so excited because I want to move on, but I'm also excited that, I think I'm getting to where even if I do get new subscribers, you're at a point in my story where I don't mind you really listening. You're hearing the good side. You're hearing the overcoming, where the overcoming began. So we're getting there. And thank you so much for watching my story. As always, be blessed with love. That's all. Wait a minute. No, that's not all she got. She got a little bit to say just here at the end. So hold on, folks. I just want to say really, really quick, I've got an exciting opportunity to share with you. As a student and a content creator, I pour my heart and my soul into each and every video, and I absolutely love bringing you all along on my crazy adventures. But you know, creating quality content requires a lot of time, effort, and resources. But that's where you can come in. If you enjoy my videos and want to share your support, I've set up a few ways for you to contribute and become an even more integral part of the Mystic Hillbilly community. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me to continue doing what I love most. First of all, I have a few donation options available to you. If you'd like to make a one-time contribution, you can find the links to my Cashapp, Venmo, and PayPal in the video descriptions. And every single donation, no matter how big or small, truly makes a difference and allows me to create even more exciting content for you all. But wait, there's more. I'm thrilled to introduce to you my Patreon membership, where for only $5.55 a month, you can gain access to exclusive behind-the-scenes content and outtakes from all my videos. As a Patreon supporter, you'll get to see all the edits and behind-the-scenes bloopers that didn't make it in the final cut. It's like having a VIP pass to the Mystic Hillbilly editing room. This is really something special for all my haters out there. As a member, you'll gain access to hours of footage of me making mistakes, doing everything wrong, and just having an all-around hilarious time. So, haters, if you ever want to see me in my most human, this is your golden opportunity. So, whether you choose to become a member or make a donation, know that your support is deeply appreciated. I genuinely thank each and every one of you for being a part of this amazing journey with me. Your positive energy and contributions mean everything to me. Before I go, I just want to take a moment to say that I pray that every blessing sent my way is multiplied and returned to the sender tenfold. May success find their way into your lives as you've brought them into mine. Thank you all so much for your support, and until next time, stay adventurous, stay curious, and always remember to keep the mystic in you alive. And now, that's all she got.